5 factors and 50 points, will we have a winner? This is what we're going to find out in this video, where I compare the Damac Hills2 with the Valley 2 across 5 very objectively thought out points. Now, these two communities have been compared a lot recently, and this comparison in a way is natural as well, because these are two of the biggest townhouse establishments in the city available right now. They have identified mass number of units and are being driven by two of the biggest developers in the city as well, AMR and Damac. But when you look into it, when you deep dive into it, you realize that there are a lot of differentiating factors as well. A lot of points where these two don't really have a comparison at all. So let's dive into it. I'm going to discuss 5 points, starting off with locations. My argument in the last video as well was that these two communities are coming closer together, right? This is where the Valley Phase 2, the Valley is. This is actually where the Valley Phase 2 is coming. So the Valley Phase 2 would bring you closer to Damac Hills. So the location would pretty much be the same for both these communities. Newer and newer constructions, newer master communities are coming up around the same area. For example, we've got a master community coming up by Shoba as well. So this Al Ain Road is the center of the attention now in most of the developers. This is where most of the newer construction in the city is being done. Damac Hills 2 is not exactly on Al Ain Road, but fairly close to the valley, as you can see from here or from here in this screenshot as well. So it's only about 10 minutes drive from the valley. But bear in mind that this is the distance estimated from the valley, not the Valley Phase 2. The Valley Phase 2 is actually further close to Damac Hills 2, further inland if you would like to turn off that. So the location would pretty much be the same in my estimates. However, you do want to give that edge to the valley because of it being located right on the highway. So I'm gonna score Valley at 9 out of 10. Whereas I would score the Damac Hills 2 at 7 out of 10. Now, number 2, we come to the community. For any townhouse community, see, townhouse communities are supposed to be inherently end-user friendly products, right? How well the community has been laid out, how well it has been designed, what features it has, what amenities it has, becomes all the more important. Now, if you compare both the communities, if you have a look at the master plan of the Valley 2 with the Damac Hills 2, they look very, very close to each other, very similar to each other in terms of design. For example, they both have a central park running in the community, and we've got residential establishments on the park. The Valley Phase 2 is promising all of these amenities, for example, a sports village, a beach, a kids' den. And if we look at Damac Hills 2, these are the features that are already there. That the Valley seems to have taken some sort of inspiration in terms of the amenities from Damac Hills 2 as well, because I have been saying since a long time, and I still maintain that Damac Hills 2 has some of the best amenities in any of the communities that I've seen. Again, very strikingly similar features, right? So Damac Hills 2, you've got a beach as well, you've got a lagoon, you've got a sports park, you've actually got a sports village in Damac Hills 2 as well, and that's what's going to come up in the Valley 2. So very similar, but here is where it gets interesting. Damac Hills 2 is one place which is already developed. Damac Hills 2 has been in the market since almost a decade now, and the amenities, the beach, the sports village, the grounds, the lake, the boating lake, the birds, everything is already there. Now, this is a huge factor because most of the townhouse options that you can buy today are going to be in communities that are still taking off. For example, even the Valley Phase 2 still taking off, right? If you're buying there, you're going to be buying in one of the initial phases. There's a fair chance that by the time your unit is delivered and you move in, there would still be plenty of construction going around you. And this is a natural trajectory of any community, because the Damac Hills 2 is past that phase already. Thousands of people are living there. So 30,000 plus people living there, about 12,000 families, thousands of homes sold already, close to 12,000 homes. So that sort of gives you an idea that you are sort of moving into a community that is completing up, rather than something which is still getting started. So even though many would argue that MR builds much better communities than Damac Hills, than Damac, but you got to give Damac that edge, Damac Hills that edge, which is why I would proceed to give Damac Hills 2 is 10 out of 10 marks, whereas I would give the Valley 7 out of 10. Now moving on, very important factor, design and layout, and this is where it really starts to get interesting, because I'm going to be discussing the design layout of the community itself, the clusters themselves, and also the floor plans or the layouts of the units that you're going to be getting. So for example, let's start off with the cluster map, right? So Verona and Venera, the two of the clusters launched at the Valley, they really promise to be some of the most premium townhouse clusters that MR has ever developed, which is why you would notice a few salient features. For example, all the units are more or less single row. You can see here that all the units are fourplex. What this means is that there would be no more than 4 units together in a block. Now what that means is that there are going to be a lot of open spaces and a wider green belt. So this basically goes to show that the developer has cut down on the number of units that could have been made on the same plot, but has focused on maintaining a visibly appeasing outlook of the clusters. Whereas if you compare it to the cluster plan of Violet at Damac Hills2, you would notice that this is very similar to what we've seen in the previous cluster of Valley, where units are sort of clustered up very close to each other. You can find units, for example, there are fourplex units, there are single row units, and this is what I've been stressing in my previous videos as well, that if you are investing in Damac Hills2, you cannot afford to go wrong with the choice of the unit that you make. You need to make sure that you go for the right unit. And I've pointed out that ideally a single row corner unit should be your only choice. Harder to secure, but much safer in terms of investment as well. Because in Damac Hills2, we are dealing with a higher number of units per same area. So the number of units are going to be more, but if you've got the right unit, you would always hold that exclusivity. Now, if we deep dive into the layouts, this is very important as well. Now, even if you are just an investor, you are potentially buying this townhouse to be resold to an end user at the end of the day, which is why you really need to pay attention to the floor plan, to the layout, what you're getting. For example, the built-up area for both the units is striking the same. Now, one important factor is that I'm actually comparing a 3-bedroom at the Valley with a 4-bedroom corner unit at the Damac Hills2. And all the units at the Damac Hills2 Violet launch are 4 bedrooms, but it would not be fair to compare a 4-bedroom at Damac Hills2 with a 4-bedroom at the Valley. So I'm actually drawing a comparison between a 3-bedroom at the Valley with a 4-bedroom at Damac Hills2, which I believe is a fairer comparison in terms of the size and pricing as well. Both of these units come with a similar built-up area, close to 2,500 square feet. But when you deep dive a little into it, you would notice a few striking features. For example, the living room in the Damac Hills2 is only 25 square meters, whereas the living room in the Valley is 38 square meters. These are some of the biggest layouts that MR has made in terms of townhouses. They have very interestingly increased the size of living rooms, living and dining spaces proportionally to the overall built-up area, which is a very, very nice feature to have. However, a bigger kitchen with the Damac Hills2 and a slightly smaller one at Valley. If you compare the master bedroom size, the master bedroom size is easily 1.5 times the size you are getting at the Damac Hills2. The 3-bedroom, interestingly, comes with a maid's room. However, there is no maid's room in the Damac Hills2 Violet. Now, for the Damac Hills2, of course, there is a second floor as well where you find your 4th bedroom. But in terms of the internal layout as well, I would say the Valley takes the lead. Now, another important factor for townhouses has been plot areas, and this is something I've been consistently advocating as well. Plot areas really do matter. Even if you think they don't matter right now, trust me, in 4 to 5 years' time, they are going to be an important factor, which is why I like to compare those as well. And this is where the Damac Hills2's corner unit 4-bedroom would take an edge over the Valley, because the Valley comes with a plot area of 1952, whereas the Damac Hills2 comes with, let's say, a 10% bigger plot area of 2150 square feet on average. There are bigger plots available as well, but on average, if you aim for a corner unit, you should be getting 2,150 to 2,250 square feet. And this is to compare how the units in both of these communities are going to look. So in terms of design and layout, I would very easily give the Valley that extra edge. I think in terms of layouts, these are actually some of the best layouts that I've seen. So I'm going to give the Valley 10 out of 10 for this, whereas I would give the Damac Hills2 maybe a 7 out of 10. Now moving on to point number 4, and perhaps the most important point as well, price and payment plan. See, the Valley was launched with a promise of $1,000 per square foot, but in actuality, if you were to get a good unit, these prices were very hard to secure. Damac Hills 2, however, is still something that you can get around 850 to 900 dirhams per square foot. So there is a clear advantage for the Damac Hills 2 in terms of the pricing. The price per square foot of plot as well. Also, when we talk about price per square foot, we're usually taking into account the total sellable area or the built-up area. But say price per square foot of plot areas, you will notice that the Damac Hills 2 is significantly cheaper. The Damac Hills 2, in fact, is the cheapest townhouse option that you have right now. You are not going to find any other option in the market where you would be able to get a townhouse or a single family home for less than 1,000 dirham per square foot. A huge factor in terms of price, and this is one factor which can literally sway the entire balance in favor of the Damac Hills 2 or the new upcoming launch of the Violet. The payment plan would be slightly more aggressive for the Damac Hills 2 Violet, and I'm going to discuss in a bit why is that. Because you end up paying around 40% during first year, and whereas you only pay 24% for the Valley Phase 2. Bear in mind that these units at the Damac Hills 2, the Violet, are coming with a 4% DSE waiver, so that's a huge factor as well. MR is sticking to its usual 20% plus year payment plan that it was being doing since for a lot of other launches as well. Pricing, I'm going to give Damac Hills 2 a 9 out of 10. I would have given it a 10 out of 10, but I think the payment plan is a little difficult up top. It's a little top heavy, which is why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Whereas the Valley, the price is fair, but in comparison, I think I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. The fifth and the last factor is going to be the timeline of construction and the handover. This is again one point where I think the Damac Hills 2 is unbeatable currently in the market, because whatever you're going to buy in the Damac Hills 2 right now, the construction is already underway. Perhaps they're already about 5-10% done. And the units are going to be handed over in 2026, around 2 years from now. There is no other product in the market. I mean, it's hard to find a product for an apartment advice that will get delivered this soon, but no other townhouse or villa project in the market that is getting delivered is launching today, getting sold today, and getting delivered in 2 years' time. So this is a phenomenal prospect for anyone. So I'm going to give, in terms of timeline, I'm going to give the Damac Hills 2 a 10 out of 10. For the Valley Phase 2, I'm going to give it 6 out of 10 because there's nothing extraordinary about the timelines for the Valley Phase 2. We're buying something today, we're going to obviously have to wait 4 years or slightly more than that. So this was my comparative analysis of the Valley Phase 2 with the Damac Hills 2 Violet. The Damac Hills 2, I think now as a community is on to its last stages in terms of completion. There aren't going to be a lot of new launches coming up. In fact, I was looking at the master plan the other day. I think there's not a lot of plots remaining now. So, I mean, we had a launch of the semi-detached villas on the Park 3, amazing, phenomenal product. Then we had a launch prior to these townhouses of Natura. Then before that, we had Verona. So all of these townhouses have done, all of these launches have done fairly well. I think this is a community that is hugely undervalued right now. The Valley Phase 2 is an amazing product as well. If somebody's looking for a longer-term commitment where they can wait out for the next 4 years, I think they would end up making phenomenal returns as well. I'm going to leave it to you to decide which of these factors matter to you the most and what you think is going to be the best option for you. If you want to discuss any of these things, any of other things that I might have missed, as mentioned in the comments, or reach out to me on WhatsApp or give me a call. For the Damac Hills 2 Violet is going to be launched very soon. We are already onto the HUI phases. We're already there. In fact, as I've discussed before as well, we have previously secured very, very premium corner units for our clients at Silver Notches. So if you are looking to get a good unit, if you just want to discuss the cluster plan, the master plan with me as well, give me a call. Or if you would like me to pursue a unit for you, let me know and I will be sure to do that. See you in the next video.